All right, I'm usually a stickler for time, but I have no idea what time it is. Thank you, because I wanted to set everything so it would adjust to the time change since I'm on Central Standard Time, and then all of a sudden all my meetings moved to 3 a.m. for some reason on my Outlook calendar. A little bit panicky. So thank you so much for coming on Friday, the last day, second to last session. This is amazing. My name's Holly Herrera. My title is right there. I am going to be presenting this morning on my dissertation topic. I'm not representing either institution at this point, so I'm not branded, but I hope to have a very visually appealing, very boring presentation. So I hope you're prepared for this. I'm going to do my best. If we've interacted at all during the conference, I like to talk to people, but I'm a statistician, so it kind of is terrible, so sorry in advance. Feel free to ask questions as we go through, especially because I know this stuff so well, and I might gloss over something forgetting that you may not know. Oh, matchy, I like you with that. Yes. Recognize the stripes. So feel free to jump in, but we'll have some check-in points during that. There will be a time where you get to talk to your neighbor about a situation. And it's going to be the situation in regard to this program. With the information you've been presented, what would you do? What changes would you make if you had the opportunity? So, who here is from two-year institutions? Praise them loud and proud. 4-year? Private? Public? Wow. Anybody have concurrent enrollment programs between 2- and 4-year institutions where they're duly enrolled? Rock on. Anyone with hazel eyes? Okay. There we go. So, all right, that's cool to know who. It would be awesome if maybe working with someone you don't know, maybe try to find the 3 people here from 2-year institutions and pick their brain to see what's going on. A little bit about me. I've been in higher education for about 15 years. Started at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Research One, doctoral granting, highly selective institution where I did many different things, starting off in admissions, moved to recruiting. Always focused on transfer students, always. I was a transfer student myself. Let me tell you how that changed my life real quick. I'm a first-generation, non-traditional student. I had a child when I was 17 years old. I was in AP honors classes. No one believed that it was me. Actually, nobody believed that Holly Herrera. I was precocious as a child, I guess. Little advanced for my age. When Andrew was 2 years old, I started to notice he wasn't meeting developmental milestones. He was acting differently than other 2-year-olds. I was at the community college at this time pursuing business, Parkland College in Champaign, Illinois. My dad owns his own company, and so that's where I went. Business made sense. I took Andrew to the pediatrician, and he said, "You're a teen mom. You have no idea. You just don't know. He's just an active boy." I went to my advisor, Norm Lambert, at the community college, told Norm that story. He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I'm going to prove him wrong. Don't ever tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about." Seriously, don't ever. So I completely changed my curriculum plan. Still went through some business courses, started with early childhood development. I didn't get the chance to earn that degree fully because they require 2 practicums, and I did not have time for that. But that's all I'm missing from that. I learned everything that I needed to make that argument. The community college gave me that. I ended up spending 4 years there, so that was great for me, but not for everyone else. And so that's why I was glad that this informed my interaction with transfer students. That's why my dissertation focused on transfer students. That's why my first identity in these situations are I was a transfer student. So With that context, I hope you can see me through this. I'm going to be talking about the Parkland Pathway to Illinois program. It's concurrent enrollment, dual admission between Parkland College and the University of Illinois. I never thought I would walk through those halls again. When I left Parkland College, I was done with that institution. And then I found myself in those same halls. It was crazy with some of the same professors. That was outstanding because I could be like, I'm going to need to talk to you about my grade in LAS 189. Yeah. I'm going to give you more about that program, but it just fall 2018 was its 10th anniversary. So I'll tell you more about that. Oh, those results. It was sad. It's going to be sad. We're going to go on a journey, friends. But I was the coordinator of that program, and I made changes as I see them come out. I was pretty lucky to do that. And then I want to know your recommendations, what you would have done to change the program. But first, definitions. So my study was on adjustment, social and academic adjustment of community college transfer students that participated in that program. Not talking about integration, not talking about involvement, that quantity and quantity of effort. Did I say that twice? Probably. Quantity and quality of effort. But it's how students behave, how the transfer students behave. That's how I'm operationalizing this in this situation. I hope that makes sense. One more. So there's my concurrent enrollment. There's a lot of different definitions of what this program is. But in this case, dual admission. And this program is structured. It is structured, and let's talk about that. 2007, in 6 months, this program came into play. Higher education folks, you know, 6 months. How does that even happen? There was a Lumina Foundation grant that funded the inception of the program. It had a hiring of an assistant director of admissions that later morphed into my position. Had a mentorship part that went to this. But it happened fast. And it happened so fast, it started off with just 3 colleges, very small initial cohort, and then it went out from there. There's only one college at the University of Illinois that does not participate in this concurrent enrollment program, and that's the College of Business. They don't play well with others. I'm looking at you in the camera. But they know that they don't, and so that's fine. It is very selective in admission. Students have to apply their senior year of high school and meet the requirements to get in. It is very selective. For example, our College of Engineering right now, students have to place into trigonometry. For that summer, they must be in Calc 1 in that fall. I had so many issues with that. But open enrollment at the community college, yes. So that worked out well. That selective admissions required short essay, why pathway, especially if they were admitted as a freshman, which most of our students were. You would have to say, why pathway? Why this program? Why not come as a freshman? Concurrent enrollment with directed course selection. So you could only take the courses that you picked out with your advisor. Couldn't just pick whatever you wanted. There had to be forward movement specifically in regard to your program. And from the 4-year perspective, we did not want to have a student take any course at the University of Illinois because they could take up to 5 credit hours at the University of Illinois that they could take at Parkland College. We didn't want to lose those seats. We wanted to make sure that the enrollment at the 2-year continued to be the same. So students had to take the courses that we told them to take. There was dual advising. Students were advised by a professional advisor at Parkland College toward their major and also an advisor at the University of Illinois. Students could live on campus if they wanted to. They could take up to the 5 credit hours if they wanted to. Wasn't required. Most of the time they did, of course, because that's a great benefit of the program. The library, the activities and recreation center. Many fraternities would allow participation. No sororities would allow participation. They got an ID card that looked just like everyone else's. They only had to self-identify as a Parkland Pathway at Illinois student if they wanted to. And that usually happened when they were waiting for the bus. When the person's like, oh, you need to, no, that Brown goes out of campus. You don't take the 9A, you take the 9B to go into campus. And they're like, no, I'm going to Parkland. Take most of my classes there. That's usually when that happened, which was pretty great for the students. That guaranteed's in quotes on purpose because we could guarantee their admission. I have to put the quotes there for College of Engineering because they can guarantee it, but not to the major in which a student maybe wanted to get into. So we can't guarantee mechanical engineering, but we could guarantee systems design or something like that. But we worked consistently with the students to make sure they knew exactly where they were at every single point of the program. Oh, those 5 hours at the University of Illinois, paid at the Parkland tuition rate. University of Illinois is a very expensive institution. Very expensive. So if a student's paying in district at Parkland College, score. $151.50 at the University of Illinois per credit hour. That was pretty outstanding. If they receive the trustee scholarship at Parkland College, 50% off tuition, it's only $75 at the University of Illinois. It was pretty great. So in the creation of this program, we looked at the academic rigor, trying to get rid of that myth of students aren't going to be prepared when they get to the University of Illinois for the kind of rigor that we offer here at this blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they are because they're taking their courses up to 5 credit hours. The social part, you could do anything you want. You could live on campus, you could participate in social clubs, you could do all of this. We got that. Finance part, lowering tuition. Brilliant. What could go wrong? So my study focused on transfer student capital. That's the framework that I used. Transfer student capital is really looking at the knowledge students gain at the 2-year to help them through the transfer process and have a successful transfer experience. It takes into consideration the knowledge that they learned. They found the people to ask questions to at the 2-year. How did that help them get through? So, the previous theories, a lot of them look at deficit of why students leave college. The TSC, why they stay, how they get through, what kind of capital, especially in regards to cultural capital and just who to know, that networking. That's what it's based on. So my hypothesis going into my study, that pathway students would have more TSC because they're at the 4-year. They know people at the 4-year institution to ask questions of. They don't have to send a generic email to admissions. They can just write to their advisor. It will impact and be positive in its impact on academic and social adjustment. Oh, it's going to get so sad. Okay, so significance, who cares anyway? A friend of mine said this to me. That's in quotations too on purpose. I was like, okay, so you just questioned me. So here we go. So current research looks at the persistence toward the baccalaureate, the retention toward the baccalaureate. It was just numbers, transcript analysis. I want to know the student experience. Concurrent enrollment programs are constantly being created. Who here is working on one right now? Yeah.
First one, never how to do it.
The first one, you don't know how to do it? When I just got my new job, I actually called Jane right away. And I was like, Jane, hi, hello. I have questions for you. So now you can ask me questions. I love it. So this research was really looking at the students' perception of their adjustment. So that's actually what I care about on this side. So many words. But you know how we are in academics. So I wanted to know initially, is there a difference in comparing junior level transfer students that participated in concurrent enrollment program and ones that came from a community college to the University of Illinois without the benefit of this program. Benefit. Well, let's see. Had to do that first just to see if this even, should I even move further? Then I was looking at the background characteristics, what really were positive. And then that TSC. How much of a part does that play? Well, pathway program makes sense to everybody so far? You got it? You kind of have an idea? Any questions about the pathway program?
So are they spending 2 years on the community college campus first?
It is a 2-year program.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. And it has to be full-time minimum. On average, the students would take 15 to 19, 20 hours total between both institutions. Yeah, question again. Was that your question? Yes. Well, yeah. Oh, I'm supposed to repeat the questions into the microphone. Sorry. Okay, I do that often to people. Yes, right behind you.
So are they required to complete their associate degree?
Okay. Great question. The question is, are they required to complete their associate degree before they transfer? No. Just because you're a member doesn't mean I'm coming to you next. Last row. Yeah, ma'am. No. Okay, fine. I'm here. I'm back. Did you lose it? I have to try with this material because it's going to get real sad. I saw a question over here. And we're just, yes, go ahead. University of Illinois, very, 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 very italicized, underlined, bolded. Let's make it 34 font. Very competitive to get in. So the average GPA is for engineering 3.65 that they would have to maintain every semester. You get a B, bye. You have to leave the program, and traditional transfer is very hard to be an option. For the rest of the programs, the University of Illinois maintains about a 2 point, and I'm not here representing them at all, 2.70 grade point average for a lot of the other programs. The lowest one would be a 2.5 for agricultural leadership education and some of the other agriculturally based programs. Any other questions over there? I see. Okay. What is your question?
I just wanted, so the only time students can enter this program is straight from high school.
Yes, and I'm going to put an asterisk on that, and not representing the University of Illinois, the Parkland Pathway to Illinois program camera. I, as a coordinator, began to approach the students that were the first year experience course that may be primarily in developmental education to ramp up their prospects to come in. So if we would look at the total number of courses that were completed, some programs were just completely off the table. Oh, one more thing I should have mentioned over there. All Pathway students took a first year experience course together in the discipline in which they were coming into. So all College of Education students all together, liberal arts and sciences all together. Friend making, cohort building, intentionality. Okay, transfer student capital, good with that? Yes, my friend.
I think it was kind of asked, but I didn't quite get the answer.
Oh, well, it's probably me.
So it's the 5 credits they're able to take, those 5 credits
Per
per semester.
semester.
And they had the option of doing that or not, or they had
Yeah, wasn't required. Most of the time they did. Some students would not take a course at the university or courses at the University of Illinois because maybe they're in Calc 3 and Physics 3 and all of these others. And then working on top of that, let's not. Let's take a break for that. This is, yeah. Well, I might answer it.
Well, no, I was going to say, what was the average age of the students that entered?
Traditional 18 to 24, yeah. So that comes into my methodology. Definitely not mixed methods. I went to my advisor and I was like, I'd like to do a mixed methods dissertation. She's like, nope. If any of you got the chance to talk to Ebony Zamani Gallagher, she won one of the Catalyst Awards. She was my advisor. She is amazing, but she also doesn't mess with me. She's just like, nope, not going to do that. You're going to have to find someone else. And I was like, so is there another way that I can still work with you? And that came out with a dominant, less dominant design. So my dominant design was quantitative numbers. And then my qualitative, I had some open-ended questions that I actually hoped students would not answer. But then when they did, it was really helpful to provide me some insight. I used the Lannan Transfer Student Questionnaire. Lannan also is the person who developed the transfer student capital, the TSC. So read all of his things. I get all fangirly whenever I see him. I'm like, oh, Dr. Lannan, you're amazing. I love you. So after I went through my proposal for my dissertation, they're like, well, no one's ever used this questionnaire for this specific population. You're going to have to do a pilot study. And I'm like, no. So I did a really small pilot study just to verify that this questionnaire would work. The questionnaire originally has 301 items. I'm not even doing a survey with 301 items. So there's versions out there that are condensed. So I took that one. And there's a whole bunch of questions that lead up to things. Like all these questions talk about student satisfaction. And all these questions talk about course learning behaviors. And all of these questions do this, that, and the other. Some of those questions fell out. Some of those questions, which turn into constructs, fell out because it didn't make sense for pathway students. I did do pathway and non-pathway, but all traditional age, all students that were transferring or had transferred to the University of Illinois. So a little bit about the University of Illinois and the fall 2017 transfers, which was the time in which I sent the survey out. I can't believe it's been a year. Descriptive statistics, aka who completed my survey because they wanted to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So, concurrent enrollment students, only 27. Our traditional vertical transfer students, 168. Smaller sample size for the concurrent enrollment students. Technically, as a researcher, I don't know the number of students that were currently enrolled that were previous pathway students, but this isn't actually from what I do know, not wrong, pretty good. And for the traditional vertical transfer students, bringing in 1,300 students, we put all this together, 195. Not that bad of a response rate, right about 20%. Not terrible. And not statistically significant differences here. There's differences, but not really statistically different. You can see here the associate degree completion, 25.9, earned the degree prior to transferring. We can get into reverse transfer definitely another time. Here's who they are. Anybody here work with agriculture students? So I worked in the College of Agricultural, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences, College of ACES, for 7 years at the University of Illinois. They are joiners. They will participate in surveys. They're going to volunteer. I hope it's the same everywhere else. I blame it and owe it to FFA. Thank you very much. So you can see that they are a huge number there of 11% on the concurrent enrollment side and 37 of the overall traditional vertical transfer students. But they only had 2,600 students in their college, so that's a pretty good percentage. My next analysis of this research will match program to program, engineering students to engineering students, ag students to ag students, and see if there's a difference. You can see that there's some business students in the traditional transfers, no business, of course, in concurrent enrollment, since they are haters. These are the variables that were in my survey. Background characteristics, community college experiences, then we have the transfer student capital, university experiences, and 2 outcome-dependent variables of social and academic adjustment. Once we get into things are going to give you headaches, my graphs, not all of these are in every single graph, depending on what I'm looking at, just because some things were so related that they were just skewing things and it just doesn't work. So I had to pull them out. Okay, y'all. All right. Here we go. Starting off, I did Whole bunch of things. So these were tests looking at course learning behaviors, what they did at the 2-year, and how often did you do it at the 4-year. Course learning behaviors with full samples, took more detailed notes, attempted to integrate ideas, consider practical applications. Parkland Pathway, they only did one thing more significant here, and that's consider practical application of the material only at the university. They didn't do those things at the 2-year, none of them. Faculty interaction, full sample. They talk to their faculty. They're asking them for information on their grades. Critical feedback, wow. Parkland Pathway, only one significant thing. Approach faculty outside of the classroom more often at the community college. Interesting. Look at that. I had to remember how to do statistics when I started working on this presentation. Traditional transfer students, they're mean. One of these is, I'm not going to try it. If you look at the means, traditional transfer 3.37. This is academic adjustment. Parkland Pathway 2.84. Their average answer was below a 3. Hurt my heart. Why didn't they feel more academically adjusted? Oh. Or didn't like the classes. It's sad. So, academically, felt behind. All right, well, socially, all right, social, University of Illinois, #1 party school in the nation a couple years ago. I mean, all right, woo, yeah, okay, no. Yeah, so the p-value here is not statistically significant, but some other analysis I did that I had to look up also, glasses something or other. I shouldn't disregard this number, they said. So it still came in here. Again, now we're talking 2.58. Their average answer. One student living in the residence hall had my opportunities. Another student living in a residence hall impacted my academic adjustment. So it just, you need to look at yourself, I don't know. But this student, traditional vertical transfer student, felt alienated, didn't feel welcome, felt like an outsider as a transfer student, as a junior coming in. What do we do? I don't know. All right. Checking in. It's my favorite gift from grad school. People say, how's it going? I'm like, So, more statistics to come. Thank you all for being here. Any questions? Because this is the part that I'm not excited about. I'm not sorry. If I have to deal with it, you have to deal with it too. You're locked. It's not locked in. It's completely fire resistant. Woo! Okay. Academic adjustment. Parkland Pathway, traditional transfer students. What this is a regression. I'm predicting student academic adjustment. So I did a first block here. Just looked at those things to see what's significant. Nothing on the pathway side in that first block. Father education didn't predict academic adjustment. Dropped in community college experiences. You remember there was a long list before. Only one of them really seemed to play out on the pathway side. Still not significant. But when I dropped in the transfer student capital, talking about advising, interaction of community college faculty, perception, the transfer process itself, underrepresented racial ethnic groups became significant. 2 stars. That's good. 2 stars. Pretty significant. Then we have perception of the community college, significant, positive predictor. Academic advising's not significant, but a negative predictor. Interaction with, oh, okay. So then I brought in the university experiences. Wow. More things. Mother's education became significant. Positive predictor of academic adjustment. How are you doing? Did you study for your test? Things going well? Moms are very involved on our campus. I hope, no, it's not the same for you. Underrepresented racial ethnic groups, continued significant positive. Interaction with faculty, significantly negative. It got worse. And if you need glasses, you need to move to the front, just like I did in kindergarten, come on up, you can see it. But I'm happy to share any of this with you. Perception of the community college, positive, huge positiveness, significantly. Faculty interaction at university, negative, significantly. University satisfaction, positive. None of it makes any sense. We created this program. Okay, traditional transfer students, you can see there's some things that don't exactly match up, but not much is significant over there. Not much. Significant learning and study skills, those are the ones where they're thinking about taking notes, practical application, no late entries. So, okay, let's see. Let's see how this plays out more. Social, looks the same, whole bunch of numbers, but this is social now. Look at everything that's got all those asterisks. Look at it all. Parkland Pathway, father education became important negatively. Socially, that's so stereotypical. I'm upset. Underrepresented racial and ethnic groups, again, positive predictors. The transfer process, can there be more asterisks? Probably. I mean, I could have. I'd be groundbreaking if I were to do that. Negative predictor. The transfer process, application, going to visit the institution, talking with people, that's the transfer process. It's a negative predictor of social adjustment. Overall pathway participation. This makes me weak. It makes me kind of want to throw myself on the ground because I can't stand any longer because it's a negative predictor significantly of social adjustment. Traditional transfer students, comparatively. Underrepresented racial and ethnic groups, again, positive, significant predictors. General eds. University experiences. Their perception of the social life at the University of Illinois, positive. University satisfaction with their courses, with the faculty interaction, with their experiences, positive. Or that one's a negative with lots of significance. Transfer stigma. Transfer stigma, pathway, not significant, but negative. Made me want to hug them all. Tell them to take a shower. 10 slates are dieted. Yeah, it's a little too much. Yeah, that's a lot. Words. So I had that qualitative side. Remember, academic advising was a negative predictor, significantly on the pathway side. This is a traditional vertical transfer student, but provides some insight. All participants, feeling of mistrust in their community college advisor. All. Even though the pathway students knew that we talked, we had meetings. Mistrust. They referred to their University of Illinois advisor for all things, even what classes should I take at the community college. They felt thrown in after transferring. Concurrent enrollment students felt the same, felt alienated after transferring. I mean, if we all need to talk it out afterwards, we could do this too. I mean, it's very sad. And I knew these students, and I was so sad. All right, I hope that we can talk a little bit amongst yourselves about these things that are coming together. Y'all, I'm starting to use that now. I'm in Georgia. I love it. But it's also a good inclusive term, I think. The concurrent enrollment participants told us the following. The faculty interaction was significant when only talking about future plans. At the 4-year. Course learning behaviors, not overall significant for themselves. Academic adjustment was lower overall. Satisfaction with the university was a significant positive predictor. Academic advising is an academic advisor, super sad about that. Transfer process was negative. Remember, that's the talking it out, figuring out how things go, everything that transfer student capital is about. And that pathway participation was negative. And the social adjustment as well. But then, things were working well for traditionally underserved racial and ethnic groups, which is so surprising because University of Illinois being a predominantly white institution, there was actually a study done not too long ago. My dear friend Moises Orozco was on that about how unfriendly our campus was to anyone identifying as a person of color. What about this program? Was it? So what would you do? With this information, you're me. What would you do to change the program? What would you do right then? Because I couldn't let this continue. Are you kidding me? These numbers came through. I'm going to make changes right away to see how we can make things better for the students. Any suggestions? What would you do? Are you going to remember what you're going to say? Okay.
So it's a question and then maybe a recommendation.
I asked.
On the receiving end to continue that cohort build, like to continue that cohort model?
Absolutely not. You're at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. You should be able to get through this on your own. There is no cohort building. No. TLDR, no. Yes. Anyone else? Yeah.
The academic advisement seems like it has such a negative impact
Mhm.
or negative influence. Have you thought about incorporating peers or anything like that, peer mentorship or peer attachment type of programming so that students can distinguish between the two, getting advice from an official person and someone that's just given social
Yeah.
advisement stuff?
Yeah. No structures for peer advising or mentorship at the University of Illinois. Their College of Business, non-participants, are starting to implement that. And they're doing really good work. Watch out for another dissertation on that. But wouldn't that make sense?
What was the advising model at the community college? I mean, was there somebody specific?
They had a specific person. One person worked with ag students, very communicative, knew courses to take, knew what they would take at the 4-year. There was monthly meetings between everybody involved, policy and practice. Advisors were there, administrators were there from both sides. Yeah, there was a question in the back first, yes.
What do your traditional freshman and transfer students do in regards to their orientation or welcome week transition programs? And these students participate or were they invited?
Sure. So the question was on traditional first year and transfer students, what orientation, transition, and did we extend the offers to Pathway students? Pathway students were absolutely welcome to every orientation event. Most of the colleges, their first semester, they would take the intro to that college. ACES 100 for ag students. Engineering 199 for the engineering students. And they could come and do all the social events, go to the hottest stadium and sit in the concrete and have a stale hot dog and get a t-shirt and get in the picture. Sure, come to the ice cream social afterwards. Absolutely. Didn't get a chance to ask them on that. Remember, 301 items, had to break that down. This one was already 17 minutes. I mean, I was surprised I got 195.
It was encouraged but not required.
The class required. No one's required to do those. Yeah. Yeah.
In regards to your course-learning behaviors, are we talking like skills of time management, study, things that are in that nature? So was there like supplemental instruction, academic coaching that was associated with those courses that would either be like the 5 credits that
Well, not at the University of Illinois. No, we didn't have any academic coaching or any of that tied to those courses, but at Parkland College, D120, the only reason I could pass calculus in the summer, worst decision I ever made in my life. No, there's much more than that. They had tutoring, mentoring, just, sure, right? Miss Jane Rex.
So several questions. How successful are the students who completed that program now? Have those cohorts been followed up with? And I guess, what was the intent of these students coming in? You know, I look at high school experiences now. What does a high school experience mean to a student? And I think this is my theory, Jane Rex theory. You know, there's probably 40% of the high school population that really likes all the, goes into a traditional high school. But there's people on the fringes. So do they just go to high school to get through? And was this a program for these students? So what were their expectations of the program? Did they want a traditional college experience? Because I keep looking back at the university satisfaction. For some reason, the overall university satisfaction was fine with them. So did they ultimately get what they wanted? So I don't
Yeah,
know the type of
sure.
things you had going in, and then where are they now, and how successful are they? Did they get what they wanted?
Right. So, not here representing the University of Illinois, the Parkland Pathway, Illinois program in any way, shape, or form, but I can tell you that of the students that participated, on average, 56% transferred. But that's because the University of Illinois isn't for everyone. Sometimes they wanted to go to a different institution, or they got their associate's degree and left and lived their life, and that's wonderful. But of the students that transferred, 98% graduated from the University of Illinois. Top-rated institution, highest salary for Big Ten.
And
Yeah.
was it working? Did they have other responsibilities? Did they didn't want to join?
Yes, I have a lot of that we have that I'm not going to share here today, but the question is, were they working? Were they doing all of those other sort of things? Most often, they were working, most often at the community college when they were there, not at the University of Illinois because of the amount of coursework. But yeah, there's a lot of other mitigating factors, right? Any other suggestions on what changes or what you would want to look at moving forward? Yes, Katie.
The students that weren't a part of the pathways, they were paying the typical cost to attend UOA?
So the question was on tuition. That tuition break stopped when students transferred. And so then they paid full tuition after that, however that plays out.
Just curious if there's any type of connection in their own mind of cost and worth. If they're getting the courses at a discounted price, and if now they're worth less, or if that experience is worth less because they're paying less.
The follow-up question was on if students' worth and value of courses were tied to the amount that they paid. Most of the Parkland Pathway students commented that this was the best choice for them financially, and that they were saving so much money by doing this program. And about 75% of the students who go through the Pathway program are admitted as freshmen initially, so they were admitted and considered. So, one last question, right? Yeah, sorry.
And I'm sorry if it was long, I was trying to follow everything, but
Oh, so much.
how many of those took up the offer to live residentially?
That we couldn't get access to, and that was one of the questions I decided. Oh, the question was on who lived on campus. Yeah, I had to pull that one out, and there's another very important one that I had to pull out of the survey as well.
Do you know overall, just not even those that responded to the survey, but overall how many of those students were residential?
Of even including the traditional transfer students,
No, just the pathway.
just the pathway students. Do I remember that? I don't remember that off the top of my head. How many? But a third, I'm going to say, lived residential. But I have some other ideas about that too. Oh, wait, I'm not touching that. Okay. The Fitbit. So here we get to the working together part. And that really is a note to self that I'm telling y'all too, because the word collaboration is used so often, and I'm just like, I need to figure out some other words. Advising, I encourage 4-semester plans so that we can take those to the students and say, hey, we worked this out together. We know what you're going to do. Hear this. It's to bring the community college advisors are professionals, and I wanted the students to see that as well. I encouraged handoffs, transitions. When the student is completing the pathway program, let's have an event. Let's have an actual, this is your new advisor. This is the person that's going to be talking with you now. This is the person you're going to go to, and have it be a social, a mingle. Let's just get together and talk. I encouraged a case management approach while students were in the program. So I'll get together, let's talk about the issues that are going on. Let's take it very more well-rounded instead of piecemeal. Talk to your community college advisor, and then they may or may not send the notes from that meeting over to the 4-year, and then the same coming back. Then I encouraged advisor-to-advisor meetings. When I worked in the College of Ag for 7 years, they're going to be so mad at me when they watch this video and see me saying that. Agricultural, consumer, and environmental sciences. Let's just fix that. I met with my contact in Ag all the time. We talked all the time. Every time I'd meet with students, my notes would go directly to them. Met with so-and-so, here you go. Case management approach. But liberal arts and sciences never did. They're the largest college, 10,000 students, you'd think. Faculty collaboration. Students made really good friends with their faculty at the 2-year. Of course, they're not going to make the same level of friendships, if we can even call them that, at the 4-year. But let's prepare them better. Let's talk about curricular alignment. Socio-academic moments. Community college students make friends socially in academic environments. They're sitting next to a student, and they get their number and be like, hey man, you got the notes for last week, or you're working on this problem, can we talk about it? Let's create those at the 4-year, because that impacts those social, those higher learning, course learning behaviors, and just encouraged conversation between the two. This discipline talk to this discipline, just get together. Policy and practice encouraged intentional recruitment and admission of underrepresented groups. University of Illinois. Encouraged continuing the outreach after transfer. I started immediately emailing students after they transferred. How's it going? Checking in? What's up? How's it going? Life good? You been over this thing yet? Did you see that this festival is happening in downtown Champaign? You going? Try to continue the outreach. And then I encourage the university to provide more supports and recognition of transfer students. See them. Don't force them to self-identify. Put it out there first. And if they want to tell you who they are, then they can do it. Collaborate. Everything here says encouraged, because I really had a hard time trying to get anyone to do anything. Anything I could control, I could immediately get it done. But beyond that, nothing. This student, traditional transfer student, but they told us, that's it. So in closing, you can't do things halfway, right? No half-stepping. I was listening to New Jack Swing when I was writing this. So intentional, integrated, and ongoing program assessment is required for these programs. There has to be constant discussion going through, especially when you're working with an institution that doesn't drive the 10 miles down the road. You have to focus on developing and sustaining a transfer receptive and inclusive culture. Make it friendly to come in and make them feel a part of the culture. the University of Illinois' one transfer student club was only open to liberal arts and science students. Why? I have a question. Why? I don't know. We have to value the experience and knowledge transfer students bring to the institution. I work at an institution now. It's arts and media focused. When I talk to the faculty, I'm telling you, first off, they maintain eye contact. They actually let me come in their office. It's amazing. First off, I can sit down. They say, I want a student that I haven't trained for the last 2 years. I want their diverse perspective. I want them to come in with different skill sets than all of these other students have been trained to have. It's outstanding, the depth and breadth they bring to my classroom. Be still, my beating heart. And then, working together, you have to find transfer champions and always be the one to focus on improving the student experience, right? So creating these programs, we can think we're doing everything, basing it all on theory, that, yep, it's meeting this one, and Tinto told us that, and now that this other person told us this, done, yeah, it's gonna work great. Students were graduating at a high rate. They were participating, they were persisting, they were doing everything, but they didn't feel a part of, academically or socially. So do better than us. Wait, them. There's me and Andrew at my graduation with my PhD. Andrew's 6'6". He wears size 16 shoes. He's a very big boy. That change in my coursework, Andrew was diagnosed one of the earliest diagnoses of juvenile onset bipolar disorder at age 8. At age 21, Andrew was diagnosed with schizophrenia after a very scary bout of delusions, both auditory and visual. I do have some really funny stories about Andrew's delusions. If anyone, he said, I can tell stories about them. The one time when he wanted me to take him to the police station so he could file a report on me and the banks in Champaign for holding his money from him because he was a signed rapper by Jay-Z. And he went to New York, and I said, okay, I just want to repeat this back. You want me to take you to, no, take the bus. So he took the bus. And so it was fine. The police officer called and he said, so I'm not saying he's not a signed rapper with Def Jam, but I'm pretty sure he's not. I'm like, you're right. So he was pretty proud. He had no idea what we're doing there. And I tried to explain about stuff. And he's just like, pretty proud of you, Mom. So he's 25 now. And that's my contact information. Appreciate you all coming in, even though it was how working together impacts students. And it turned out to be not really working together impacts students. I hope that this will be helpful and as you create or talk to other people about creating these programs. So again, thank you. And I'm welcome. Any other questions you have? I mean, I'll take a clap for me first. I see you, Katie. Yeah. It's so hard because I hosted a trivia night for 7 years in Champaign at a martini bar. And so I'm always up here. I'm like, want to crack jokes. Yeah, go ahead.
So is your takeaway from this that the program didn't produce the results because I guess the relationships from the people doing the program didn't occur?
I always want the institution to change to accommodate the student. I don't think students should always be the ones to have to accommodate to meet the culture of the institution. But I do think that students in the Pathway program were treating the University of Illinois experience as a commuter-based experience as well. I do think, and this is just anecdotally through my conversations with them, that they were going to class and leaving. They weren't staying after and creating, going to have study clubs or hanging out at somewhere or doing something. So I do think that there was a little bit of that in there.
By relationships, I mean with the faculty and the staff that are
I think relationship building would be absolutely helpful. I'm not sure if they will ever make any changes like that. Actually, when I left, they made a whole bunch of other changes, so I don't know what's going to happen from here on out. But advising can do more collaboration because we're more friends. We're more friendly. And so there can be more talk between the two of them, of the groups. So, but faculty, no. Any other questions, concerns? I have my card up here as well. I do a whole bunch of stuff and things. I have a lot of ribbons. My advisor made fun of me. She's like, I was just talking about people with ribbons and how stupid it was. And I was like, yes, because that's how I am. But then again, thank you very much. That was great. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Safe travels to wherever your head is supposed to be.